Okay, so how's it going?
That's going good.
Good. So just talk to me. You don't have to look at the camera, but so Art Basel this year. Where were you showing?
We showed at Art Miami, which is an old Miami Herald building space.
Okay.
Really good space.
Okay. And how are you? So MADDOX-GALLERY represents you?
Yeah, MADDOX is my London gallery.
It's your gallery. Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
and then you lived in London and Paris for a while, right?
Yeah.
For how many years?
I lived in Paris for 3-4 years.
Very cool. And did you go to London a lot?
Yeah. I mean, you go next to when you want to speak English, you go to London. Yeah.
So your work is very sensitive to the global market, right? So Well, I've lived in,
I lived in Asia, I lived in Europe. So I have friends in Asia. I've established kind of communication out there. So when I started doing my work and started getting popular in New York, I didn't neglect the Asian market or the European market. Mm-hmm. So I actually went out and did small exhibitions, collab group shows, and some street art within both markets. So
okay, and you started doing murals first?
No, I started painting first. I was painting. I actually was doing my work
on canvas.
My early work was very digital inspired. It was very not stencil driven, but it was all like digital conceptual, and wheat pasting and stuff like that. And then I decided to paint. You know, and then.
Yeah, I saw the documentary that Becoming Bradley.
Yes.
And it's amazing. The video production is great, phenomenal job. So I loved it. And it mentions how you kind of locked yourself away for a year and you just created your style. Yeah. Well, how did you find your style?
I think just all by chance, the right color canvas, the right, I think a lot of people don't understand that paint is actually a part of the painting process. So you have to find the paint that really works with you. Some people can try different brands, or they won't try different brands. Try one brand and
they stick to it.
They stick to it.
People don't like change.
Yeah. So what I do, I like to try different brands. I'll talk to different artists in different countries and see what brands work for them. And then you'll know that certain brands have colors that work and colors that don't work. So finding the right brand is most important.
Do you feel like your brand with the palette you're using really fits in through Art Basel? Because it's Miami, the contemporary, very commercial, even though your works. But what I'm getting at is, do you feel like the palette meshes with the vibe of the community?
I think my work is Caribbean inspired because I'm from Turks and Caicos, born there.
And those colors.
Yeah, those are colors of the turquoise is the color of the ocean, the greens, the blue of the sky. So these are colors the pink of the flamingos. These are colors that are part of my existence. Yeah. So I think it comes out in its own way.
Yeah, and I'm in the high technology space. I have a firm we're just always doing consulting. And I think it's so unique and it's hard. A lot of artists don't get it, but you use technology. You said you, in the documentary, you mentioned how you use analytics to kind of test your market. Yeah. Can you explain that process?
I think, so it's not that complex, just, being able to canvas a spectrum of your kind of consumers, people like you, consuming your images. You're able to analyze which country, which person, which region, and then focus more on that, and which images are just not working, because sometimes some things don't work at a certain time.
Have you been surprised, this is going to work, and then it was
very surprised,
right?
Very surprised.
The audience.
I thought it was going to work. It was just something I thought was the best piece.
You loved,
and people were like, not really the best piece.
And you're like, but I love it because it reached your soul, right? And then I do that all the time. Yeah. And I'm like, why don't you love it? But it's amazing it's about us. It's all about the interaction. Yeah. The connection with you, with the work, because that's going to resonate with them.
Very interesting.
Did Art Basel inspire you in a way this year that, when you go back, what pieces of Art Basel you take and inspires you to go back into the studio?
There are some pieces that you see something, you're like, wow, that's actually really nice. The artist should have did it a little differently. And then there's the artists that have taken something that was not original and copied it. But they didn't. They made it a kind of original, but not really. And you'll think wow, they should have went this direction.
And it helps you push.
Well, it pushes you because you see what not to do or what you think may work. Yeah. If I saw one artist did some amazing things with ceramics, I was like, wow, I thought about doing that, but I never did it. And then actually, this artist is doing it, and it works. So you have a situation where you're kind of you're just always surprised.
Yeah. And you did a show a virtual reality show this year.
Yes.
How did that go?
Oh, amazing. People were like, because when you actually see, like, one of the things I realized that in 10 years, painting will be, there will be no real new painters. It'll all be VR, 3D printed, digital art. And so...
And your background...
Yeah, my background is
which is
well, no more hard in graphic design. I mean, I did, kind of like hardcore CAD, working with Alias, Wavefront, Maya.
Blueprints?
Well, basically, I can actually build 3D objects.
Wow.
You know?
Oh, that's relevant to the virtual reality.
Yeah, I mean, so that's why I was so natural, because I understood the XYZ space where most people wouldn't even understand what's going on. And I know it in a complex way where you're like, you'll have to like build a spline. Oh, sometimes you have to create a script that would actually put the geometry in for the splines, and very complex stuff.
Yeah, and the space fit well. Like you have to look for describe the presentation you did with the virtual reality play.
I think more so it was in the gallery circumference, and we had a situation where we had a large screen in the back of the person as they were viewing through the space. People were able to kind of see what they were seeing, and then it gives you're like, oh wow, you see what he's saying. But when you're using virtual reality, you get the chance to feel it. It's kind of
all
a third
senses,
sensor. Yeah,
because you put the gear on, and then all the senses are gone, and you're in that experience, and it's real. Yeah, it's surreal. Surreal. Yeah. So let's see. So in your latest documentary, Becoming Bradley Theodore, you mentioned that you're constantly seeking inspiration through a global perspective. So how does that play into your work? It's interesting to see what different artists are doing in different countries. Like the new Ai Weiwei pieces, which are Lego blocks. I know a couple guys in New York that were doing Lego blocks artwork, but he took something that was existent and flipped it in a new way. Yeah, it's always pushing new realms. And then I saw some Italian artists do the same thing, not the same work, but take the Lego block concept and then extend it to another realm. Yeah. And it was kind of like, holy crap. But there's so different cultures, and they're doing so many, everyone's perspective, the way they're raised and born is so unique. Yeah. So it's really, you're very sensitive to that in your work. Yeah. That's amazing. So how do you keep up with the different cultures and the noise that can be distracting in the art world? I think one of the things in art world, people are trying to people can get consumed by ego or money. Money is a consumer. Ego is a consumer. I just stay away from the egos. It's very challenging because you get quickly caught up in it. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for contemporary artists? Like keep it focused? I keep it focused. And if you're, at the end of the day, art is a commodity. Becomes a commodity. It's one of the longest and oldest commodities in the world. Like real estate. Yeah, I mean, it's actually been more profitable than real estate throughout the years. I mean, you could have real estate in Syria, which was ex-Persian Empire back in those days, but you can't access that now. But you can have a sculpture that your great grandfather had back, which is worth more value than the land. So it's a transportable land. Transportable land. That's deep. That's beautiful. How does, we just mentioned technology, but I'll re-ask it again. How does technology influence your fan reach? You use technology to get the mass critique. You know how, in our school, I thought this was unique watching your documentary and getting your vibe. In school, because you're self-taught, but they have those critiques, the crits. Yeah. It's kind of like you're using your fans because that's what matters most, I assume, to you. No, I think to me, I matter most. And then it's interesting to see what people think of what I do. Okay, so can you tell us how important, you use social media, how important email, all that stuff to your work, to building your work, to the process? I don't think that it's not important to the process of building my work. My work builds itself. I think that's a part of the communication and sharing the work. When you get to sharing the work, that's when it's out of your hands, and these technologies are used along with the actual work, So the actual work itself always exists, but who sees it and who shares it is based on the technology today. Yeah, and then I think it's interesting how important filtering out through a lot of critique when you're trying to vision something beyond its time right now, because you're a visionary, you're creating work, you're moving people. That's why we're in Art-BASEL, to be inspired. Oh, you did it that way. You're doing something this way, never seen before. So it's cool because you're getting the feedback of what people see, but you're trying to push the envelope and clear your head. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, I think like, it's good to stay your direction, but also be liquid, be water, allow things to come in. Yeah.
Fluid like water. What is your daily routine before you create your work in the studio? Take us through like a day in the life in the studio.
It's all right. It doesn't even matter. I mean, my days are very like, eat, sleep, party, and wake up and paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like.
Are you used to like long days, long nights?
Well, some days it will take me forever to paint a painting, and some days it'll just come to me. So. Yeah.
How do you push past the frustration of getting stuck on a work?
I just don't focus on it being stuck. I mean, it's
a place of where
I think the painting
going, or do you close it?
I think the painting paints itself, and it tells you when it wants to be. Wants you to stop.
That's cool. And then is there anything when you're like something like different or something you have in the studio that it's like unusual that is a part of your process? Whether it's a dog or like you need this coffee mug or something that gets.
No, I think I'm fairly simple, and I think that's probably unusual.
Yeah, you just keep it.
Yeah, I keep it. I don't. Yeah, people are like, oh, what do you smoke? And you do drugs? I'm like, no.
It's you.
It's just me. I'm just mellow.
Your essence.
Yeah.
Who you are. Your being. Do you recommend a book or a pivotal piece of work that you recently read?
I think.
That moved you?
It's interesting. A comic book on Picasso's life I saw was quite interesting.
A comic book?
Yeah.
Really?
It's a graphic novel.
What's the title?
I forgot the name. It was written.
A comic book.
It was based on a book written by one of his lovers. So it's actually really interesting to get
Wow,
insight.
that's fascinating. Yeah. Okay. Comic book about Pablo Picasso. We'll look it up. And then you talk about leaving a legacy through art. You're creating work with famous individuals because you're very integrated in the fashion industry. How does that play into your artwork?
No, I think one of the things, like for example, fashion is like quick. It's like it just doesn't. It changes over so fast. Mm-hmm. So like for me to paint a person, that image is forever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like fashion photographies are great, but people really won't remember a campaign until like years later, or they won't even remember it.
Yes.
But when you have an art piece, people stop. They think. They go into it. It becomes let's say for example. Yves Saint Laurent died, like we know he died, mm-hmm. but we see the images of his past. But what image do you go out and search for of YSL? The brand itself exists and will exist, and its advertising exists. But what artistic image do you go and search for? He's actually one of the biggest art collectors in the world. Wow. So it's like the fact that to paint him creates him as an iconic piece of art that will be shared with millions. Even his clothing is shared by millions. His existence is shared. His existence is shared separately.
The person.
Yeah, that's
light that they are.
Yeah, so that piece of artwork will always present them in their emotional state of being them. It's separate from their corporation.
What draws you to your subject matter? Whether it's a person, is it relevant in the culture today, or is it something that you personally want to dig deeper?
Yeah, I think for me it's what I've seen relevant. It's not, doesn't go with, if the country thinks this or people think that. It's more what I feel is relevant.
Okay. Who was your best artist so far, if you can name it, or influencer you collaborated with that you can recall? Or can you tell us
I did a collaboration with Antoine Verglas. I thought that was a really, really great collaboration.
How come?
I don't know, just fun. It was good. I learned a lot about, his working process. He learned about my working process, and we created some magic.
What'd you guys do?
We did a whole model series for painted women, and he shot it.
Nude or like
nude?
You painted
totally nude.
Okay.
Totally nude.
Was that in where was that? In New York?
That was in New York.
Okay, that is cool. Did you guys do like a fashion
runway
experience, or was it just photography?
No, just photography.
Okay, that is cool.
Yeah.
So I have about 6 years ago, I had a show, and my entry into Miami Art Week was my skulls. I do these like charcoal skulls. It's very like raw, and you can touch it. And I love playing with charcoal. It's messy and dirty. So I feel like we're kindred spirits because your skulls speak to me, and I feel like that they seem to communicate together. It's the backbone of your creation. Why is that? Why is that your style? I
think skulls are it's funny because it's for any artist that, kind of goes to art school. First thing you draw is a human skeleton. That's what you're trying to figure out. You're learning from that. So I think it's something that when I started painting, it was part of my basic education. And then it just came out, you know, just something that was kind of deep in, and it meant, they had symbol of being deeper than what people see.
Yeah. What do you want people to understand or take away from your skulls or skeletons?
They can take that away. They can take whatever they want. And it's not, there's no, I want you to feel this, I know what they represent to me, and there is an explanation for it. Yeah. And everyone else, I mean, you can kind of.
I think you were quoted saying something along the lines that, like you take out the essence of the soul and you like to show it on this bones.
And that's the thing, like it's a combination of the thing I do with
Kate Moss.
Yeah, it's a combination with like what I would enter over glass. Like you see what you see on the inside, you can't see it. You have an exterior. So once you get past the exterior, you see the real person. Yeah. And bringing that outside is kind of the focus in my art, you know. But in terms of what I want people to take from it, I mean, when I meant like they can take what they want from it, means that I have a thesis, but every time you see art yourself, you see what you want to see. So that thesis is primarily based on you.
They'll still see what they want to see.
Yeah.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Like people with like health or anything like that, if they're trying, they only see in the mirror and they always see it, and it's mental. Yeah. It's the being. That's interesting. And you have a thesis. No matter how you break it down, they'll still see that person or that name and they'll think a certain thing. Yeah. That's cool. And what do you think about today with like the emojis and the selfies and how everyone's like this, you know, and the importance of a photo? How do you dissemble that?
I think that's the same. It's all about exterior. People are so attracted consume is like, they're like, you know, they're attracted to it. And I don't think they're consumed with it, because consumed that they would never put it down. They do put it down, but they're not actually trying to put it down, trying to find something, or they're trying to attract something. So they're presenting what they want people to be attracted to, and they're also presenting what they are attracted. They're looking for what they are attracted to. Yeah.
How do you push past the boundaries of your work right now? Like, you know, there's always creating the skeleton, the skull. Like, how do you? I mean,
I think in terms of like my work there are different layers and depth, and you know, there are people that just do skeleton. I'm not one of those. I do a kind of palette of things, and as you get to know my work, I mean, most people haven't even seen all my work, so my catalog is quite deep, but I just don't present everything to everyone, you know? Yeah. So you kind of have to take a look and dig into it to find.
Do you do sculptures?
Yeah, I have a couple of sculptures.
Are we to see some next year?
Next year I'll take it to another level.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And then last question, it kind of flows. What can we expect from you next year?
Oh, you have to see.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you.